Cyber season is in full swing with our pals Isotope and Native Instruments.
Get huge discounts on everything from Guitar Rig 7,
Complete 14 bundles,
and one of our favorites here at the Cult and Culture Podcast,
Ozone 11 EQ. Go to isotope.com
and nativeinstruments.com
to feast on the audio goodness. Yum.
You can also get additional savings on other softwares by using the code
RUIN10.
DistroKid now also has a motherfucking app. The DistroKid app is available for iOS and Android. You can download it at distrokid.com/app/, or you can get it in the App Store.
Fuck. All right, we're rolling.
Planet B presents
Cult and Culture Podcast.
Welcome to episode 30 of the Cult and Culture Podcast. I'm Justin Pearson.
And I'm Luke Hinshaw.
This episode is pretty wild. Features Tad Miller, who was the drummer of the iconic, I guess, powerviolence band.
Yeah.
One of the original coined termed band genres. Crossed Out. Seriously, one of the most brutal, weirdest things to come out of San Diego. Yeah, I don't know. I grew up playing shows with Struggle and Struggle playing with Crossed Out at the Che or wherever in San Diego, and they were always awesome to me and stuff. But like in more recent years, I kept seeing Tad at shows that that Def Club was playing, like at the Casbah or wherever, and we kind of became friends again. And the dude's awesome.
Yeah.
So for me, as a 15 and 16-year-old seeing Crossed Out, seeing something like that was pretty wild because everyone thinks of like metal bands as like brutal or evil,
Right.
And seeing something like Crossed Out was just, it was like, to me it felt like the equivalent of seeing like a serial killer, you know. It was like just so insane, and there was no like no fluff, like there was no like spikes or long hair or something like a metal band. It was just fucking really brutal shit.
Yeah.
And then also, like, if you pick that band apart, like there were like surf riffs and then just blast beats. It was the weirdest shit.
Yeah.
Came out of nowhere, fucking changed the trajectory of music.
I was really impressed with like his music upbringing and how he got to Crossed Out. And I was thinking about this today, about how not just with this podcast alone, but with all of them from the past, like the connection between prog rock into punk and hardcore, and how many of our guests have just been so influenced with prog rock, and us too, even with the new Planet B album. There's so much King Crimson and Yes inside of all of that shit, and I was just so impressed how once he said prog, I was like, oh yeah, I get it.
Yeah,
you know.
But so to me, like prog rock, or it just seems like on the it's like the outer shell of like regular rock. It like reformulates this like typical structure and instrumentation.
Yeah.
And I think like it makes sense because I wouldn't say, you know, like King Crimson or Yes is absurd, but when you think about, or I wouldn't even say that, I wouldn't even really think that now Crossed Out's absurd, but that was maybe the goal of the time. I don't know. Maybe it was a subconscious goal, because for me, the Locust whole idea was to sound like, or just like the starting point of the Locust was to be like Crossed Out, and the whole time the Locust was a band, we wanted to be absurd, however musically we could, and I feel
you achieve that.
Yeah, but if you think about it, like you think about Yes, Fragile, that record is completely absurd.
Yeah.
It's fucking completely absurd.
Yeah.
And so that like parallel between the, I don't even want to say genres, but the two like sort of generations and worlds of music totally makes sense.
It's crazy, like in the history of it, a lot of it when it was coming out, like the early punk and the early prog, they didn't really like get along. I know there was a lot of issues where like punk hated fucking Pink Floyd, you know, and I don't really consider Pink Floyd a prog band, but a lot of the world does, you know, so, but I'm going to go read more up on that because it doesn't make sense with our guest and their upbringing with prog and like they've just merged these genres that
But
I'm really impressed.
But okay, so that's a good example. Like if you think about punk, you have like that's this huge, vast spectrum. You know, you do have like the Sex Pistols, which were pretty punk at the time, but now they're like a pop band. And then you have like modern day punk. I don't know, like Venus Twins or something. You know, where it's just it's completely different. So if you think about prog, even with like you just accidentally referenced Pink Floyd, but if you think about like that, and then you think about like maybe a modern day, you know, like the Mars Volta or something that's just so fucking vastly more insane than Pink Floyd. So I don't know, it's genres are stupid. I think that influence is interesting and at times very, very credible, and I think that people's influences, musical or non-musical, seep in through ways that we don't even aren't even aware of it.
And also, well, not also, but prog rock conversations can fucking last for days and days. So we should get on with this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry about that.
When we dive into this, we like the stuff that Tad jumps into right away is just so insane and wild and not expected. And man, I'm forever grateful for Crossed Out, and I'm so psyched that Tad is one of our homies and that he took the time to come and talk to us about shit. So yeah, here we go. We hope you enjoy this. Enjoy the blast beats.
Yep.
Hey everybody, my name's Tad Miller. I play drums, and I would think that I'm probably here because I played in a band called Crossed Out. It was pretty much the biggest thing I've done.
It's a pretty big fucking thing.
Yeah,
It's all right.
I'm pretty impressed by the fact that people still know what it is.
Yeah, maybe more now than they did at the time.
Maybe.
Yeah, which is kind of a weird thing to think about.
Well, yeah, especially over the years. Yeah.
Okay, so let's I have all these there's all these things that have like been said when I discovered Crossed Out, and things that I don't know that were true. Like one person told me you were a jazz drummer or a trained jazz drummer. Is there any truth to that?
No, I loved jazz. When I was learning to play, I was very into progressive rock.
Yeah.
And was going to start going into jazz when I started playing in Crossed Out, and just had no want to do that after playing hard music. And that's one of the things about drumming as far as hard stuff goes, is I'd rather even do it than listen to some of the music, because it's so fun to do it on the drums. So like playing fast and hard is where I'm at. And I played music in high school in a band that wasn't marching band. It was concert band, so we'd play for doing stuff for like the plays in the pit down below the stage.
Yeah.
And then we'd also go to badass where we had competitions with other schools, so you'd go to their auditorium and play against them.
Whoa.
It was fucking cool.
What kind of music?
I'd say, pretty much just that same kind of era stuff that they would be playing when you hear like a marching band.
Okay.
But concert band is what it was called.
Yeah.
So, it was all concert band music. Yeah. And like, it was badass because for me, and this kind of carried through to Crossed Out and my drumming, and I'm not a finesse, I'm not a jazz guy. I can play that way, but it's a totally different style for me. When I play that way, I use different sticks and I play real light. And then when I play like heavy, hard music, I hit as hard as I can, and I like to do that. It just feels really good. But then, so when I was doing that, I was always upset that I wasn't playing snare or timpani drum or some of the other ones. My drum instructor, the instructor of the band for all the bands in high school, he wouldn't let me because I didn't do marching band and all the other ones. But he liked me either way, and I liked him a lot. He was really good. His name was Lorenzo. I can't remember his first name, but it was just, Mr. Lorenzo, but Lorenzen. And so I was the guy that would hit the cymbals. I was just a cymbal crasher.
Oh, yeah.
But after mastering that, it's pretty freaking amazing if you're really good at it. Believe it or not, there's a lot of technique that goes into it. And it's almost harder following the music the whole time and just hitting that one note.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So I had to be really on it and follow the music the whole time, reading the music, but then when I did it, I fucking hit those fucking things so fucking hard, bro. And then I was strong and big, and I'd hold them out like that.
Oh, yeah.
And what it does is it resonates. It's fucking badass, dude. We should do something with that stuff. Seriously, like with a hardcore band, have somebody doing just cymbals on the side like that when they really hit a heavy slow part like in Melvin Z, and just and then holding it out. It's almost like a gong. Bong, you know. And whenever we had competitions, the people that were doing the that were like other teachers, and they used, like, I don't know who they'd bring in, but the people that were judges, they knew their stuff. I don't know, because you'd hear their comments about different people playing this or that, and they would only comment on, the really good things, like, oh, that flutist is exceptional, you can hear, but they always had a comment about my cymbals.
I used to
that
be
cymbal player stands out,
I was actually going to ask you if they recorded them, because I was in the jazz band. I was in junior high, but I played for the high school jazz band. Right. And we used to do the same thing, go in those little auditoriums and battle the other schools. Yeah. And then they would give us the tape, and you can hear the judges. Yes. And one time I fucked up so bad on bass, but they were like, oh, and then they're like, oh, he came back really quick.
Right. Corrected it.
And then they would sit us in those rooms afterwards, and you couldn't see the music. And then everything was in a folder, and then they would say, okay, pull out the folder. And everybody had like 10 seconds to kind of go over the music, and then you had to play.
That was it.
Whoa,
Same
shit.
thing.
Yeah.
Wow.
Same thing.
Whoa.
It was badass. And then, like, for jazz band, like I said, I wanted to play in jazz band, and they only had one person, and that person played set, and that was the, what do they call it, the drumette guy that's the main drummer for the marching band, and he was the dude. Like, so, like, yeah, if you weren't that guy, you didn't get to play. You didn't get to play in jazz band. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just one drummer.
Yeah.
Fuck. Yeah. So it was cool that we actually had concert band, and I could play in that.
Yeah.
So and you're saying, like, you think it translated into, like, maybe what you did in Crossed Out. What, like, and you were saying that you were into prog rock, right? Is that what?
Yeah. Like, dude, so heavily.
Because when I heard
but way early, like, as in like dude, like when I was in grade school, I was listening to prog. Yeah.
But, like, for me, when I heard the Crossed Out tape or demo or whatever it's called, like the cassette, it was crazy to, like, hear, like, the contrast. It's the first, because I think maybe you could correct me if I'm wrong. I think Infest was around, like, that style of music existed, but when you guys did it, the brutal parts were more brutal, and then the other parts that had, like, that were kind of more riffy were, like, had so much groove, it was just, like, almost like surfy kind of, and then it would just shift like a hard cut, and I mean, maybe that comes from prog music, or
I'd say too, because Scott was writing a lot of everything, and he and I would, I'd help out, but he had a lot of ideas where he'd come in and we're doing this, and he already knew what he had in mind, and I'm like, yeah. And so whatever he ever came up with, I was just like, fuck yeah, but yes, getting back to that, he listened to prog too.
Yeah.
He listened to everything. It's funny about him is he first was a real metal head, so that was his original thing, was a lot of metal. But then when I met him, he had been listening to hardcore and punk and was way more into that for the last probably 10 years before I'd met him. So yeah, he was an early metal rock and prog rock guy.
When I met him, and not to judge him, but he looked very metal, like long hair,
right.
like
yeah.
looked like a hasher.
He comes across that way. Yeah.
But it was like and I mean this in, like, the best way, but, like, the sheer absurdity of the way that the songs were structured was just the coolest thing I'd ever heard. But where do you think that came from? Was it because you were drawing influences from everything?
Yes, and that was the thing too. Is like, people say this or that, but like there was so much other shit that we were already listening to back then, you know. And like, dude, I saw Infest when I was in high school. Like, went to Fender's to a Saturday afternoon show because it was like $3, fucking 5 bands, fucking. And we were so stoked to always be able to go up to Long Beach and see a show at fucking Fender's. So we had heard about it or something and went up there and saw these fucking, you know, DI and whoever, a bunch of fucking punk bands. But I saw Infest and, dude, like, back then, could you imagine? Like, fuck. There wasn't anything like that.
Yeah,
like, you know, and so, yeah, it just blew my mind. And, you know, and then I kind of never really thought about them again really much because I started listening to all these other punk bands and different stuff that was going on. And then, well, by that time, I was just trying to put something good together, and I'd been playing in a band called Toothless Grin that was more of a blues punk kind of RKL sounding, GBH sounding, Metallica almost, like kind of mixed weird band. And we'd lost the guitar player, and the singer said, I know this guy. And that was when I met Scott.
Yeah.
And so we started just writing stuff.
Huh.
And literally, like, I had some ideas. I was like, let's do this, and then see what it just... Literally, we didn't really have a style. We were just, like, liked so much stuff, and I think a lot of stuff... I go back and think about it, and, you know, it sounds a lot like some sort of, like, Suicidal Tendencies, because we did so many covers of those and cover bands and stuff back when I was in other bands. And I don't know, so, like, I would say we had like just a weird oddball style, especially on the demo. You can hear it's just all over the place. And then we kind of harnessed it, and I would say it was a big part of it was Scott. Yeah, like, just had all these really good ideas. So it was, you know, I'd help him write, but for the most part, he knew where we were going with all the songs.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah. And the writing, though, he, you know, we all knew where the lyrics were where they could go and be good, but that was the toughest part too. Was I would get frustrated because it'd be like, no, man, we got to write something better than that. Like, we'd have good, like, vocals. And it just seemed like it wasn't enough. Sometimes I'd be like, oh, let's word it this way, or, you know, change it a little better.
Is this with Dallas, you mean?
Just with the whole band, we'd sit down, Scott, Dallas, and I.
Huh.
Yeah.
Because that was also an interesting thing, too, is like there was almost this sense of minimalism with the lyrics. There was just very, very few words.
Right.
Which says a lot. It's the whole, like, Mingus thing. It's like the notes that aren't there are saying stuff, too, you know? So,
yeah.
I mean, you know, to me, that was a big... lyrical influential move. Like, oh shit, you can just say a couple lines and just be like,
and leave it at that, and let the music do the talking, kind of.
But you're saying, like, you thought it could have been better at times?
No, I think everything came out great the way it came out. It was just, there were certain things that we all put little pieces in. You know, I don't want to just say that Scott wrote and did everything. That's more or less what I wanted to get at, but he was a great guy. Fucking huge influence of the band. We wouldn't have done any of the things we did without him. And because he also, you got to remember, back then there wasn't an internet.
Yeah.
So he had already been writing letters to Chris Dodge, been in conversations with him multiple times, calling here and there once in a while to talk to him. Hey, you know, we are doing this or that. And, you know, we played a couple shows and sent our demo, and we got to be on Slap a Ham, and it's just like, oh my God. Like, so, because of Scott, and he knew so many other really cool people with great record labels like yourself, and, you know, stuff like that. So it's like, wow, this is a freaking, just being introduced to that whole genre was a different thing. And, you know, it's still something I think that's great, but just different now because, like the internet, like I said, back then you really had nothing. Yeah. And it was amazing that these people did what they did.
Sure. Yeah. And the only way to experience it was to see it or hear it in person.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, like, and you know, there's, and no offense to the bands, but it was always like almost every show at the Che was like had Crossed Out or had Heroin or, you know, Tit Wrench or whatever. Like, you know, it's like the kind of played a lot of the shows. And so it was, so people are always tripping out like, you've seen Crossed Out like 30 times. I'm like, yeah, I mean, it was just, they were like always playing. It was fucking always awesome though. It was never like a disappointment or a letdown where like there's been a lot of, you know, you see a lot of shit and you're just like, this is not, there's a reason why I think those bands were always playing.
You know what's a trip too is when I was in that band Toothless Grin, we practiced in this place in Leucadia, so that's why we were a Leucadia labeled band pretty much. And then it was the same place Manifest Destiny practiced, Toothless Grin had practiced there, and we'd played shows in that place with Heroin.
Whoa.
Yeah, and then Toothless Grin went away, Crossed Out became a band, and then played shows with Heroin again.
Like early Heroin, because it changed a lot. With everybody.
But it was Matt and Scott.
Yeah,
that I remember. And
Matt was drumming, I think.
Yep.
Yeah. It's crazy too because so at some point, and maybe you know when this, or maybe it wasn't even conscious, but like I feel like the demo happened and it was pretty brutal. It had that that like sample where the guy says that you fuck your own mom for a nickel, which was super brutal. I don't know what that's from, but once the first 7-inch came out, it like went to me like when you talk about like, and I'm using air quotes, but like when you talk about like brutal music, you know, there's one element of it, but like that really defined it. Like it was so fucking, it made like, you know, spooky metal bands seem even cheesier than they already. It was just like, dude, you can't get any more closer to becoming like a musical serial killer than that fucking first 7-inch.
I love that. Thank you.
Yeah.
You know, that's the thing is, we were all, I don't know. I grew up with metal and punk rock, and I had a great friend named Brent. Still hang out with one of my best friends, Brent, and he was the metal guy in school. He knew everything and was the man to talk to about metal. And I was way into punk, and one of my best friends that I hung out with that was just gnarly punker guy, fucking greatest guy ever. But just gnarly guy. I mean, there's videos, if you go back and look at like DRI fucking footage on YouTube, he's the one bouncing off the stage 20 times, you know, just fucking gnarly guy and so full of life. And he got killed in a car accident, and then so the guy Brent and me, we knew each other, but when he died, I said, hey, we got to be close now, because I missed him so much. So yeah, it was just one of those things where it's like, ever since then though, we've been best friends, and so I learned all my metal from him, and I taught a lot of punk rock to him.
Oh sure.
So we exchanged a lot of stuff, and it was cool. But when you bring up that fact that like, yeah, you know, some of the metal stuff wasn't as mean, and you know, it's weird even to this day. I mean, there's stuff out there that I think that's hardcore that's so much more harder and meaner than a lot of metal out there.
Oh fuck yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So, but it's weird because, and I don't mean to diss Infest, but like Infest like had a lot of positivity at the lyrics, and it kind of and you know, even the vocals are just a little kind of funnier, you know, like it wasn't as like threatening.
Yeah.
But when you would see, when I saw you guys, I was like, this is fucked. Like this is some seriously frightening shit. And I would talk to Dallas like off stage, but like his presence and yours were fucking frightening.
Yeah, we were pissed off, and we'd get into it on stage for sure. Yeah. And you know, I mean, you got to give, you know, yeah, it's just, you know, it's a different world, and that's the thing, like, you know, when we were getting ready to, I think when we were recording the first 7, I think it was, or it was either the second was the split with I Hate God. I can't remember if it was one of those or it was one or the other, but I'm going to say it was the first 7, Eric from Man's a Bastard had the singer from I Hate God had like paid for him to come out. I think he paid like his bus fare or something, and was supposed to do some tracks with them. And like, so I bring that up when you start talking about like brutal, heavy, you know, Man's a Bastard or I Hate God vocals and stuff, you know. Yeah, I'm all about all that.
Yeah.
You know, that's shit's so fucking great. And when you hear something like that, you know, it's just different, you know. It's not like, and this is the weird thing. I mean, when you listen to like metal and I got to give metal its credit where it is or whatever, you know, but I was never into really metal that much. But now I have a lot of love for certain metals. The vocals, man.
Yeah.
Is someone really going to scream like that if they're like pissed off or something? They're not going to go, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they really do. Like some of them, they just scream so high pitched. You're just like, whoa.
Yeah.
You know? Where did that come from?
Yeah.
Like, why? And what was it? But then you look at like, and then I go back and I go, fuck, you know, some of the raddest shit is like fucking James Brown and the fucking highest pitched fucking scream you've ever heard, like a whistle coming through his throat.
Yeah.
And you're just like, fuck.
Yeah.
How rad is that, you know? And so maybe it was somewhere in between. It came in. I mean, Dio, Judas Priest, both had really high vocal.
Yeah, Bruce Dickinson was.
But yeah, it's a trip, dude. And if you just weren't into that, you just don't get it at the time. You know what I mean? And I was there and didn't like it at the time, but now I look back and I understand because my friend was a metaler, and like I said, so Brent helps me out and says, "Oh no, you just don't get that, you know, era or whatever was going on." And yeah, and then I look back and I go, okay, yeah, you know, Dio came from fucking this and did that, and he played with Sabbath, and you got to remember Sabbath, and, you know, which goes back to fucking everything, you know.
It's funny how metalheads are so fucking dedicated to metal. Like they are, like they are an encyclopedia. Like just.
Oh, my friend Brent knows. You know, he's not into the newer metal so much. Since Crossed Out, I think he became more into a little bit more of the hardcore, and then he really got into stoner rock, and so I listened to stoner rock too, and I think some of that shit's great too.
Yeah, me too.
I think, like, you know, like honestly, like I'll go see I Hate God anytime they come through because I just love how brutal they are.
I think I Hate God was the backing band for Vanilla Ice's like metal record.
No way.
I'm pretty sure it's I Hate God. I could be wrong.
That's crazy.
Someone can like listen to this, can correct us, but
yeah, those guys have a lot of different stuff going on too. I know that, you know, the guitar player plays drums in another band and stuff too.
Yeah. It is crazy though, because you know, bringing up like metal and punk and hardcore and like the stuff that's, I don't know, like just the sheer brutality of what Crossed Out achieved. And I'm assuming like it maybe, and it's always in hindsight where you're like, oh fuck, we did that, you know, like when it's happening you're just like, whatever, this is just happening, and then all of a sudden it's like the thing, kind of like how you said like what Crossed Out has become to people today. Because I mean I meet a lot of people, I tour all the time, and I meet a lot of people that, and Crossed Out comes up like, oh, you're from San Diego, or something will come up and they'll talk about it. And
well, you guys covered a Crossed Out song in Locust too.
Yeah, but even with that, I don't think anyone, like, I don't know,
brings it up because of that.
I feel like most people don't even know that's a fucking cover, you know, like no one reads the liner notes or whatever, and we made it sound
a little different,
weird. But I think like when it comes up and you know, people bring up the band, they're always like kind of amazed, like, oh, you saw them that many times, or they were just around, and it became like this sort of like, you guys are like mysterious or something, like this fucking unicorn or something, you know.
Dude,
like,
that's what it was for us too. Like there were certain bands you could never see, you know, and you're just like, fuck, man. And you know, I think that was one of the reasons why we didn't, I don't know,
you never toured, right?
We did just the 2 shows up in San Francisco at Berkeley at Gilman.
Gilman, yeah.
Yeah.
That's so
crazy. 2 times we played up there, and that was it. We were supposed to do a couple shows in Arizona a couple times that we just were like, yeah. And I don't know, I just probably wasn't feeling into it at that time or something. Didn't want to go do that show. It's weird. And it wasn't never like a time where I wasn't like, hey, yeah, let's go on tour. I always wanted to tour super bad. It just never fucking panned out, And then we always had issues with Rich, the bass player. He's a great friend of mine. We kind of started the band. Rich and I were playing in bands, and it led up to Crossed Out. And then just he, it wasn't so much that we had problems with him as much as he was just at the time where, I don't want to be responsible for a band and have to like, commit and just have to be there or whatever. I just want to go do other things and not have to think about it. And I said, dude, I don't blame you. Like, that's totally understandable. Like, he'd been surfing and just surfing really hard and got into like surfing to where he like won like a pro contest or something at Trestles.
That's whoa,
Yeah,
holy
like,
shit!
Blow my mind.
Yeah.
Like, got really good,
Yeah.
And I was just like, wow, yeah.
That's so much the opposite than having to go set up and sound check and then wait for 3 hours.
Right. And then and then he's the one that approached me to come back and play with. He had a couple bands going. Well, he had a band going, and he said, hey, it's not cool that we're not playing anymore. We should be playing still, and we need a drummer. Will you come play drums for us? And their band was called Lazy Cobra, and I was okay with the music, but it was just like a kind of a hard rock band, and it wasn't something that I would write at all.
It sounded like a Lazy Cobra.
Yes. And trying not to look at that. Anyways, so when we started playing, I just wanted to really play the stuff I wanted to play and started writing a bunch of songs with the guys and changed the name, and it became Captain Howdy. And we put out a EP, and we were ready to do an LP, and then
Who released the EP?
we just put it on. It's funny is we were getting ready to do something or another. We had this tape, went in the studio, and Jesse from Escuela Grind.
Oh.
I got a hold of him through someone else, and he asked if we could headline the One Fest. And we're like, well, yeah, we're into playing. No one really knows us for a headliner, but we'll do it, you know. And then a couple months went by, and it'd been like 3 months. The show was coming up in like 3 months, and like after a month and a half or something, he got a hold of me again. Hey, we're gonna have I Hate God. You guys are gonna co. I'm like, whatever, like we're not anything. Fucking I Hate God's fucking way bigger, better band or whatever, So we were like just super excited. The guys in my band, that was their favorite band, like Rich and Rod, and even the guitar player Lane, that was their favorite band. So like to play with them, they were just like giddy, just couldn't be any more happy. And then we were still playing on and off, and then they started another side band, and it sounded exactly like I Hate God.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, yeah, it's really good, but yeah.
So let's talk about Eric Wood for a minute.
Yeah?
That dude's a maniac.
He is. He's so rad.
Oh, my God.
I haven't really hung with him in a long time.
Yeah.
I spoke with them here and there, like through Facebook or something. And the last time I actually hung out with him, believe it or not, we were at Aaron's house, and we were all smoking weed. Yeah.
Aaron
Kenyon.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I thought so was that like kind of in recent times, or 'cause they had like fallen out for a minute?
They did, but they never really, like, they still talked and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's weird because I don't know what the real deal is between all those guys, because Bastard Noise still plays too, which is Henry.
No. Oh, Bastard Noise. Yeah. Just Wood by himself.
Yeah, but then they had, and that's what the thing is. That's what's weird about that is because now it's just him by himself doing Noise, but it used to be him and Joel and Henry.
Yeah. But so the Crossed Out bass player bailed.
Rich.
And then you got Matt.
Matt for a little while filled in.
Mm-hmm.
And we were still trying to find someone like Matt was great. It just didn't feel like someone that we wanted to keep there all the time. And I don't think that he was, it was more of a thing where he just was filling in until we got someone.
Mm-hmm.
And then we got Eric to do it for a while. And it just...
That was it, right?
Yeah, nothing ever was as good as Rich.
Huh.
We really loved Rich. He was really great on the bass and fun to be with. And it was just a bummer, and it just seemed like even when we look back, it's still one of those things. It's like, I don't know. It would be tough to even fill those shoes still. I don't know why.
Yeah.
It'd be weird.
I mean, Eric has a very specific sound and style. And
that was a weird thing too,
presence.
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That, okay, so I don't want to rate your stuff, but like that split with Crossed Out, Split. What you did?
There was a Man as a Bastard and then Drop Dead. That was it.
You said there was a I Hate God one.
So he came to that was I never finished the story. What I was saying, what brought that up was just the harshness of vocals versus like metal vocals versus like hardcore vocals and stuff. But like, I had to bring him into it because like he's got a different vocal style too, and then like they brought him out.
He recorded on your.
They brought him out to do vocals on Man as a Bastard stuff.
Oh, okay.
And then freaking we hung out with him. We were all in the studio working, doing all the Crossed Out stuff, but he was there, and guys from Man as a Bastard were there. We're all hanging out. Because really, that dude had really nowhere to go. He had to stay at, like, Eric's house. Eric, didn't put him up in a hotel or whatever. He was just supposed to hang out for a couple of days, do some tracks, and then bail. Well, we were there the one day, and then Man as a Bastard was supposed to record, I think, that night and the next day or something. And then he bailed and didn't do any tracks with him.
Wow.
Yeah. Totally, like, kind of... It wasn't that big of a deal. Like, he just kind of burned Eric. More than anything.
But that was the one where there's the sample from the Planet of the Apes, right?
Yes.
That was like the most brutal thing I'd ever heard.
And you know what's funny though too is I really would like to have heard what that would have came out like sounding like. The mix of having that vocal on Man as a Bastard stuff. Could you imagine some of that I Hate God vocal? It'd just be different, you know? But that was the one with the Planet of the Apes, and that was good shit.
So then why'd the band stop? Just life?
We were playing, and then had issues with the fact that, like I said, I think more or less just I got mad at the fact that we didn't have Rich still on bass anymore, and I got tired of just dealing with not having a bass player.
Yeah.
And it was just like, hey man, we just don't sound the same without Rich, and we've tried and it's just not working.
Huh.
And then I just pretty much threw in the towel. It was sad because like I really loved doing it, but it just was kind of here and there. It wasn't like I wanted it to be. I wanted it to be more on than just playing live and out playing shows everywhere all the time. And it's just too many weird things going on. Scott didn't want to play on a stage. I don't think it was something that was for him.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's one of those people that's really into it and likes to write and play the music live, but not really in front of people so much.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's and I totally dig that. Like I think it's cool that like people could just do studio records and put them out and then sound badass. Like his and my favorite band's Rudimentary Peni.
Mm-hmm.
And fucking so like you listen to that band and they're not playing live, They played a few shows back in the day, but they're putting out badass shit still.
I know.
Yeah.
So where's the new Crossed Out?
Right. Right. Hey, don't count us out still. I mean, I still talk to Scott all the time.
Yeah.
And I've always said, hey, you're welcome to come over and jam. And I have a office in my house. My wife works in the office now from home, but I've always had that office for me to use for stuff to work on and computers and whatever if I have to do something, and for her too. But then in the office is my drums and bass and guitar. I buy all that stuff because I like it.
Yeah.
And so it's there, and I always tell them, hey, come over. We'll jam. We'll come over and we'll play like some funk or something. You know?
Really?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I had a full-on funk band for a while with Rich too. After Crossed Out.
Whoa.
Yeah. It was fucking amazing. We played at the fair fucking bunch of times. The weirdest thing is we played at the fair one time, and it doesn't make any sense how they kind of put bands together there or whatever, but the band Cage came on after us or something, or like some metal band.
Yeah, like a hardcore, straight edge hardcore
metal. Yeah,
Yeah,
they were
yeah.
super weird. Like it was just like, whoa.
Huh.
But yeah, we had one night we were playing there, and like Stone Temple Pilots was playing on the main stage, and we were still playing after they got done, and all the people came out and watched us, which was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we had like, since it was funk too, there's like a bunch of kids breakdancing and shit
Wow, cool.
while we were playing. We were just like, that's badass.
Yeah.
It was fun.
And if they only knew what you guys
Yeah, right? Yeah, and I think like that was the thing too, is like we started out as trying to be like real jazzy funk, because at that time, dude, San Diego had the fucking sickest scene going for funk bands, and it was a lot of them were going on. There was a lot of funk bands.
So like, what was this, 94, 3 maybe?
Oh, yeah, 95, 96,
Okay.
97, 90. Because, I don't know. Did you ever hear Grey Boy All-Stars before?
Yeah.
So when they came out on the scene, and there was B-side players always playing with them, and there was just so many bands at that time that we were checking out that were from this area that were doing rad funk stuff that we were just so pumped on. And like I said, like Scott and Rich and I, we were always into like, funky stuff.
Wait, the
like,
funk band was the three of you?
no, like, but
Scott
we
was-
always jammed.
Oh.
Scott would jam with
yeah.
us. The band was just Rich and I, and we'd have different people come in and play different parts. Like Rich would play guitar sometimes, mostly bass and drums. We laid down like probably 2 LPs worth, like probably like, I want to say 15 songs at one point or another, and just put them all on like a double CDs, like 2 CDs. And yeah, I never really put it out though.
Yeah.
We just played shows, and it was fun.
Be so sick to do a secret crossed out record that's only funk. just
That'd be hilarious.
just fuck the whole world up.
Right? Well, you know what's funny, dude, is I don't understand it either still to this day, is what's up with that other crossed out band?
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, I don't know either.
Yeah.
I've never even looked into it either, but
there
I
there was another one before you guys though too.
was there?
Yeah, because I remember they played like, like Soma or something. Like,
Really?
Yeah, like right when you guys. Like,
How
I went
weird.
to see you and it was a different band or something.
Wow.
Yeah, it was weird.
And then isn't one of them's like a religious band or something, I think.
Yeah.
And
That
I've
would
heard
be- yeah.
stuff where I've gone on YouTube to look at the other ones, because I'll try to show something. I'll look something up on an old crossed out footage or something, and I'll look that up and I'll see this other band.
They're in a church.
And you'll see, yeah, or you'll see them playing, and it's like, you'll see some comments about, some stuff that they like, or the people that like them like, and then you'll see someone going, what the fuck you guys doing with this name? You guys
Yeah,
fucking-"
yeah.
You're just
Yeah.
like, whoa.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a trip that, like, there's that's that name game again.
Yeah.
Getting back to the name game, man, it just sucks.
So earlier when we were talking about names, what are your thoughts on it? I always thought like crossed out sounded straight edge.
Yeah, right.
What was it ever
Right?
that?
No,
Yeah.
no, not at
Yeah.
all. And that's the thing. We were never, ever, ever into straight edge whatsoever. But yeah, if you think about it,
Yeah.
right, in that era and stuff, and like guys put a cross on their hand and go to the show.
Yeah.
And they were straight edge, right?
Crossed out. Yeah.
So yeah, it's kind of trippy. And Dallas and Scott came up with a name and just liked it, and they're like, you know what, they just thought it was a good name, and I was like, you know what, I don't think it's a bad name. It's definitely different. So I was like, okay,
Yeah.
And Rich, he kind of just thought, well, we'll see how it goes kind of situation. And it's you know, like, it makes you wonder, like, you know, was you know, some of the bands you've heard actually were other names, and then like they come out with like a real name later, and then that's the actual name that you've heard of or whatever. But like the band The Accused,
Yeah.
they were like the Farts.
No.
Before they were the
Wait, they were, because the Farts was Duff from GNR and all that shit in L.A. and the Accused were from Seattle.
Yeah.
Same band?
But no, different band probably. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wait, I don't understand what you're saying.
Before The Accused was The Accused.
Oh, they were called the Farts as
Yes,
well. Different.
yes.
Okay, got it. Yeah.
So I mean, like, you know, sometimes you go, okay, we'll go by that for now,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
and then maybe we'll come up with something better.
Yeah. Now there's the Accused AD, which I guess.
Was with Slayer Hippie,
Yeah.
which was rad, but now he's gone.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm so glad I got to hang with that dude before he passed, man.
Yeah.
He was just a really big influence, great drummer.
But I think they changed to AD with the new singer.
No, it was the same original singer. The bass player that played bass for him played guitar. So it was just those two dudes. It was only two original dudes.
Huh. That was one of the most very influential band for me when I was a kid because of skate rock and
Oh,
stuff
God.
like that.
The
Yeah.
Accused
Great.
is the greatest thrash metal band.
Yeah. The singing is just brutal.
Fucking insane, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wish I would have saw, like, my friend saw him back in the day. Two of my best friends that I grew up with that really turned me on to punk rock was my friend Lee and my friend Sean that I play with now, and they got to see him, and I didn't get. It was weird. Like, I was a year younger than them, but we all were in the same class in school or whatever. But I was like had the late birthday, man, and there were so many shows I didn't get to go see. It sucks.
So how old are you?
So I'll be 55 this year.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I didn't realize. Wow. So you got a few years older than me. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So
What about the rest of the guys in Crossed Out?
I'm 54, but in October I'll be 55. Scott was like a year younger, and Rich was a year younger, and Dallas I think was like 2 or 3 years younger.
Wild.
Yeah.
So you got to see some crazy shit because I always kind of I think I was like 13 or 14 when I saw Crossed Out.
Wow.
Or 14 maybe.
Wow.
Right before I started playing and struggle. Yeah. But it was like I just remember like people that were a little bit older were able to go to clubs that were 18 or 21 and
dude, it sucked because, like, you know, you're 20 and you can't get into a fucking 21 up show and you don't give a shit about, I'm drinking beer if I want to anyway.
Yeah.
Smoking weed, taking acid, shooting heroin, what the you know, like, come on, who gives a fuck? And then, you know, not that I do that, but, you know, that's the thing. It's like you can get away with anything at that age still, but you can't get into a fucking show.
Yeah.
And it was the Spirit Club.
Oh, yeah.
Like, there was so many fucking shows.
They had all kinds of great shit there.
Fuck, man. Killdozer.
Oh, yeah.
Fucking didn't get to see them.
Yeah.
Wish I would have saw them. Not that they're probably still out touring or something. I don't know. But back in the day, it was one of those ones you wanted to see. You know, they were and it was hot too. They came out and Cro-Mags had just come on the scene, and they came out and fucking opened with like I didn't see it, but my friend told me they came out with opened with We Gotta Know from fucking Cro-Mags.
Oh yeah,
just that rad intro.
Yeah.
Oh
shit.
Yeah.
I saw Gigi Allen at the Spirit from the outside. I'm glad I didn't get inside for that one. It only lasted 4 minutes, but
that's the best way you want to see Gigi Allen, right? I think I would have been in the same shoes as you.
Yeah.
But I wish I would have saw him.
Yeah.
At least you got to say you saw him.
I just saw him get thrown out of the venue, and then just like this gnarly fight.
Chaos.
Like, and then everything.
That's what I've heard at every show, pretty much.
It was like pretty quick.
And then, you know what's funny about that guy is, during Crossed Out, he was playing and stuff, and we were like, oh, this and that. He's just gonna fucking pull out a gun and shoot everyone, and then blow his brains out or something weird. And we're just like, I don't know about that guy. And then, now I go back and there's like, I played in this band with this dude, Gorda from Oceanside, and it was a really fucking amazing skate punk band. It's called the Embalmers.
Uh-huh.
And we had a lot of fun, and he kind of taught me some stuff about punk rock that, you know, everyone learns lessons to this day about old school bands and different things. And, you know, back playing in that band, like we'd play shows and you just learn so much along the way playing out. And that's one of those things. It's like in all the bands I played with, I played in a lot, and it's good to have that experience. You know what I mean? To be out on stages and stuff and playing, and it's just a really good thing. But it's just funny how it goes with the different things that can happen along the way, and playing with different people and stuff. And I learned some people have different preferences about, you know, the way that you play even on the drums versus a hi-hat or a ride or something like that. And a lot of times most people don't in the audience don't know, you know what I mean? So
yeah.
I don't know. It's a weird situation, you know. But yeah, I don't know where I was going with that. I kind of got off track.
Yeah, you were talking about Gigi for a minute.
Oh, so Gigi, yeah, that's what I was going to say. I got carried away. Like Gigi, I never got to see him, but he has this fucking one really great song, and I'm sure there's a few other ones, but yeah.
Like playing drums, you mean?
No, like
singing.
Like just fuck, dude. Like I have punk rock songs to me that are like punk rock hits, I guess.
Yeah.
And everyone knows all the hits of like certain bands, but Gigi's like all over the place.
It's pretty bad.
But there's
though.
one fucking album or one song I've heard
yeah.
that's just fucking really good, and that guy from Embalmers showed it to me. He's like,
Yeah.
"Here, check out this song. Something about girl, give me good head." Have you ever heard that song?
Yeah, I don't know. They're all
So,
kind of like,
but yeah, it's fucking great song.
Yeah.
And I never really knew that the guy had anything that was fucking worth a damn as far as music. I just thought he was just a spectacle, pretty much.
I mean, he kind of was, but
Right.
yeah.
Right. I mean, that's what he's famous for. But then you go back and go, hey, you know what? There was a fucking really good song, and that one I really like.
Well, they're making that film about him. I think like a Hollywood blockbuster movie about like not a documentary, like a film about
Yeah, there's
him.
a big actor playing him.
Yeah,
right?
it's like
I could see that because he was such a spectacle.
Will Ferrell.
I don't know, but it's
be great.
I think it'll be interesting. I think it's cool that it'll exist. But going back to like the technique thing, I remember because when I first started playing music in Struggle, Jose Palafox, the drummer, was he played for the Mission Bay Dixieland band, which is kind of funny because Dixieland's pretty like racist, shitty, kind of like not the best. Like he was really into like real good jazz, but he played in this like Dixieland jazz band.
Yeah.
So anyhow, I think he was just wanted to play music and stuff. But like, and not to go on a Jose tangent, but when I first met him, he played for this. This is kind of wild. I live a couple blocks from this place now. This church that was an all black. And he said it was a gay church as well, which I didn't know like existed in like 91 or something. But he played drums for this church band, and I went to see them play once, and it was definitely all black. I don't know if they were gay, but regardless, it was wild. But the band was him on guitar, and the guitar player, I forever thought it was Scott from Crossed Out.
Wow.
But it was like this long hair, like white metal dude. I don't think it was, but
Right.
The band was definitely not like part of the church congregation, you know. I was like, well, this is a trip, but that doesn't matter. So the point was, I remember when we first started playing music and playing shows, and occasionally with Crossed Out, I would always observe him just fully fixated on the drummer, you and whatever band we were watching. And I was always like, wow, like you're not like in it, you know, you're not like experiencing it. And you know, I was like naively punk rock, and I thought you should just mosh or slam dance or do the thing. But he's like, no, I want to like learn like stuff,
right?
You know? And I was like, fuck, that's so cool. And I started paying attention, and I think it was like really nice to like have. Not that he was trying to point that out to me. I observed it, and I embraced it. You know.
That's
but
awesome.
Then I started, but yeah, like now I'll constantly just. I'm fixated on drummers all the time, but I will always watch the performers performing
In a different way now for you,
it's so
instead
much
of just
more-
being the guy slam dancing to the music.
There's so much more information. I appreciate people letting loose, and especially when
No,
you're
it's-
playing a show,
it's
you
great.
need that to happen.
Right,
You want
it's
that.
great.
If everyone's just like, you know, studying you, like, what the fuck's
It's
going on?
kind of weird,
Yeah.
right?
But
yeah, no, dude, like, and I agree with you so much that like, I'm either sometimes that guy jumping in the pit just to slam around and have fun or whatever, but I fucking studied the fuck out of people. When I was, learning coming up, one of the shows that really hits on a point was this band, SNFU. I don't know if you fucking at one point, dude, they were just so fucking violent, and just the drummer was so good. It was the album Better Than a Stick in the Eye.
Yeah.
And fuck, man, they were so firing, dude, and just so fucking fast and sounded so good.
Huh.
And watching that drummer was that way for me.
Yeah.
And then, a lot of drummers, of course, but yeah, it was very influential watching some of these people play and learning and learning and learning.
But maybe it goes back to your cymbal, You know what I'm saying? Like, you had this technique where you would like raise it and you did a thing without even really knowing that you were creating this technique or utilizing
Well,
it.
let's back up, because the guy that was the teacher told me to do that. But maybe not as gnarly as I did it. Like
in my mind,
you
what
hit
it
them
did
and
for
you
the
hold
sound,
your
right?
Yeah, you hit them and hold your hands out like that so that it goes out. But I think I was just on another level, man.
In my mind, I feel like I'm thinking this, and you could correct me if I'm wrong, because you did it. But I feel like it would have been more like theatrical as well.
Yes,
and like because you were like into cool shit, you're just like fucking whatever, like the thing.
Yeah.
Where like most of you were just probably like raise it, but you were like doing. I don't know. I've seen you play a lot of shows. Like I know that you're
have that style.
Like the energy is happening.
Yep.
You're in it.
Definitely.
Also, the anticipation and the tension where you're like waiting to hit the fucking cymbals,
so it just made it even more so.
Yeah.
And it was just made for me, man. I mean, that's the weirdest thing, that like Crossed Out came along, and honestly, I feel like the music was just written so well for the drums for me.
Oh yeah, of course.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Scott knew he wasn't going to get away with some crazy, amazing jazz drummer stuff or something that I wasn't. I was a Neanderthal drummer.
Yeah, which is such a great way to put it. And I think a Neanderthal drummer is like, it sounds like a negative thing, but fucking A, man, it was so informative and so inspirational to see that shit happen. Like it felt fucking crazy to watch you play.
That's awesome.
And the again, like this sheer absurdity where you're just like blasting and then you're going into like this weird groove for like 2 bars and then back to the blast,
Yeah. And just, some cool heaviness to it, especially, which I really love, the heavy stops and stuff that we did. And then, like you said, the bitchin' grooves that Scott would write,
full on tension though. The whole thing was like tense.
Right.
Which is what it is achieving.
We wanted to come off like an explosion.
It definitely did.
Yeah.
So with all of that being said, and I would say like when right before the Locust started, our original drummer Dave Astor, whose dad was in Battalion of Saints, so he's got like crazy history, and Bobby, the guitar player, wanted to start this band that sounded like Crossed Out, and so they were like still in high school at the time. I was 1 year older than Bobby in high school, so I had already graduated. And they were like wasted, and they were walking around Hillcrest looking for people, asking like whoever. And this is like when Off the Record was over there, and there was like like punks would be hanging out.
Yeah.
Like, hey, we want to start a band like Crossed Out. Do you want to start? And like asking like random drunk people. Yeah. And they ran into Aaron from the guitar player for Antioch Arrow. I don't know if you're familiar with that band, but he asked them. They're like, oh, he's in Antioch Arrow. Let's ask him.
Rad.
And he's like, no, I don't want to do it. I play guitar, but my roommate, I was his roommate. It was like, my roommate really likes Crossed Out. He'd want to do it. And so they're like, he's like, oh, it's JP from Struggle. And they're like, oh man, like that fucking guy. And then, but like jokingly, because they thought like, they wanted to just be like real brutal, and I had already like started singing in this band Swing Kids, and like they thought I was like getting soft or like not into like the brutal shit.
Isn't it funny? Like that's the thing. Like, dude, like I had a funk band that I was singing. Like I wrote all the vocals and sang half of it with Rich, bro, and it's all like, dude, all like kind of just jingle shit.
Yeah.
And but doesn't mean I can't fucking be playing a fucking fierce band.
You need the
same day in
contrast.
in another band.
But the contrast helps, I think, brighten each side.
Absolutely.
Totally.
And why not, dude? Like I could see a reggae artist being a punk rock artist also. Look at Bad Brains, right?
Yeah. So it is interesting to like think about that, but and I know like you're very humble about what you've accomplished, and I just want to say thanks, because what you were part of was hugely influential to so many people, myself included. So
well, I thank you, because you were there with me doing it in struggle, playing shows with us, and I fucking love the stuff you've done, and so yeah, it's a big good thing that we're all here doing what we can do, and fucking let's keep fucking making good shit happen.
Hopefully we can.
Yeah. And that's the thing, like
the Funk Crossed Out record. That's gonna be so sick.
I mean, who knows? Like I said, you never know, dude. You never know. Like, I'm not gonna say it's not gonna happen, because we do hang out and we talk. Scott's a contractor. He's so fucking busy, bro, that he comes home and dies until he wakes up in the morning and fucking does it again.
Ugh.
Yeah, he works construction, and then I don't know, Dallas is doing his thing. I don't really talk to him, and I don't know as far as the relationships go, as far as with those two, but Rich and I still hang out and talk, but he works construction too. And like that's one of the things for him, like he literally, when they were playing in that band, right after Captain Howdy, he had a band, and he literally just up and moved and said it's not enough fucking work here, and went to Oregon, and a friend of his had a farm up there, and he worked on the farm. Literally got to the point where they did so well that he bought like a new tractor and shit the next year, and was just like farming for like 5 years up there.
Wow.
And then he moved back down here recently again, like in the last year.
Wow.
Yeah. So I mean, it's weird how stuff goes,
But yeah, even how people do bring it up, like the fact that it existed and what you guys did changed the trajectory of, I think, whatever genre we want to call it, whatever like that style, it influenced generations of musicians. So it's pretty rad. So
it is rad, and I was super blessed to be a fucking part of that, man. I'll tell you, I just happened to be at the right place at the right time. We were all into the punk scene so heavily, dude, that it was sad to us, because Scott and Dallas and I would talk about those old days of seeing shows with thousands of kids at like, you'd go up to like LA at the like, Fenders or some of those, bigger places, and you just see these huge shows with fucking thousands of kids. You're like, what happened to that shit, man? Like, we wanted to get that.
Yeah.
We wanted to get out and play big shows. It's just, and then by the time we were getting to that point, we just kind of fizzled out too.
Yeah.
And
I mean, just if you guys did it, it would be thousands and thousands of people. People would fucking freak out.
Yeah.
It's like that Drive Like Jehu show. Did you see that?
Yeah.
That was some wild ass shit.
Yeah.
There was 4,000 people, and they played fucking 4 songs.
Yeah.
It was the best thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a big fan. Rick and I were best friends growing up.
Really?
Yeah.
That makes sense.
We grew up went to school together.
I love
we were
him
like,
too.
We
Yeah.
were super close.
I like Hot Snakes and everything he's done, but like Jehu was the shit.
Oh yeah, Jehu's the best.
Yeah.
Pitchfork.
I know Pitchfork was great,
Pitchfork.
but Jehu.
And then Jehu was the best. I agree. And then it's funny, but honestly, where it all came from was, and I was going to bring this up earlier when you were talking about weird bands and stuff. Crash Worship, which before that was Blood Lake. Blood Lake was from Vista.
Yeah.
And they were fucking badass, and they played with all the biggest bands, dude. They played with Dayglow. They played with fucking every rad band back in the day, and it was just like, wow.
And Blood Lake was like instrumentally a normal band, like guitar, drums, bass, vocals.
Yes.
And
yes.
Yeah. So
yeah.
Was Simon, right? Was the
Yep.
main? Yeah.
Yep.
And then, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's where Rick kind of got all his influence, was hanging out with those guys all the time when we were in high school.
Yeah.
And I wasn't really doing that. I already had like a cover band that I was playing in at the time.
Talk about band names. Blood Lake and Crash Worship, fucking best band names.
Right?
Dude.
No, I
damn.
know.
Yeah, no shit.
No, I know.
Yeah.
That's
I
the
was
thing.
like-
Like, dude, that's like me and my best friend Sean will sit there and fucking, we just text each other like all day. Like, not all day, but every once in a while, like at least once a week, I'll be like, dude, what about this name? You know what I mean? And we come up with these names. You're like, oh, check this one out.
Yeah.
It's fun, but at the same time, you're like, when you hit that one, you're like, oh, that's gonna be the one.
Yeah.
Because you know what the thing is too? You could come up with the most brutal fucking name in the world. You better fucking live up to it. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you fucking
Yeah.
play some sissy ass music or something, and you're playing in some band called, you know.
I think that band Hugs and Kisses did that. They were like super fucking brutal.
We were thinking of doing that
Yeah.
because since we were kids, back in the day before there was pudding pops, like when the pudding pop came out, we to this day we still call each other pudding pop. Like, you're such a puddin'. Like,
Yeah.
you're just a little wimpy pud, you know, like
That's
wimpy
sick.
puddin'. So like, you know, we were even thinking pudding pop would
Yeah.
just be a funny fucking name.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a good thing you didn't do it though, because of the Bill Cosby shit.
Right. Yeah, no, that's definitely, yeah, probably not a good idea.
Yeah. Someone will ruin it if it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really like the name Punk Fucks. Punkfux.
Oh yeah.
So we might go under that, but there's so many fucking names that we're looking at still.
I have this one that I would like to share, and I did not come up with it, and it is gonna probably get us canceled on if I say it. But I'm gonna go.
Let's do it.
Okay, so there's this band called Here's Collective, and Jenna is the singer, and so she was telling me that she's trans, so she was telling me that she wanted to make a shirt that says PHAGGAT, so it's like pronounced the F word faggot that you can't say, but it's Pahaggot. And so people would be like,
Yeah.
what the fuck are you doing wearing that shirt? And they're like,
Right.
what? It's my
Pahaggot.
favorite band, Pahaggot. Like, dude. So I think a queer band needs to start and call themselves Pahaggot.
Yeah,
That's like the fucking best
Yeah.
name.
it would be fun.
Yeah.
Anyhow,
Right.
all the good ones are, the good ones aren't all taken. You just have to like really dig deep for it.
Yeah. Not that any of the guys in this certain band I'm going to bring up that I saw not too long ago are trans, but they are called the Spice Pistols. Have you seen them?
Oh yeah,
They're fucking good. Just
Yeah.
because you can't go wrong playing Pistol songs.
yeah.
But
Oh, and they
all-
do it
but
in
they all
drag,
dress
right?
in drag.
Yeah, yeah. It's like a New York Dolls kind of.
Yeah, it's fucking great.
Yeah.
They're all old, fucking big, lug-looking dudes that
Yeah.
are dressed in dresses and shit with makeup on. You're like, wow.
To go full circle, the bass player for PIO right now is the bass player for Spice Girls, which is kind of weird.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, I just found out that the singer from Flogging Molly used to be the singer for Fastway or something.
Oh yeah,
Is that true?
I think so.
Dude,
Yeah.
which is fucking Fast Eddie.
Yeah.
God, my God. Like, like Motorhead. I play in a band called Snaggletooth. It's a Motorhead cover band.
Oh.
Oh wow.
I just saw a photo of the Damned playing with what's his name on bass.
Really?
Lemmy on bass. Yeah.
From what?
From Lemmy from Motorhead on
Yeah,
bass.
but what was the band?
The Damned.
Whoa.
It was really weird.
What a trip.
Yeah, and
Like he sat in with them.
I mean, it's just one photo, and you could see Dave Vanian for sure, and you could see Lemmy for sure, and then I don't know who else it is, but it's like Damned with Lemmy, and I was
Whoa.
like, what the fuck is that?
That's rad.
Yeah.
Did you see him when he was playing in his freaking? He was doing that side band with.
With Dave Grohl.
No.
Did he do that
Way
with Dave?
before that, he was doing like a rockabilly band. Yeah, he's super into rockabilly, like, cause it's just like good. He likes that rock and roll sound.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was like one of the famous guys from, like, I think the drummer from Stray Cats or something, and some other famous stand-up bass player. Or no,
Like
he was
legit.
the bass player, but some other guy that played guitar in one of the big bands like that. One of those punkabilly bands, which isn't bad. Some of their stuff's okay, but I'm not a big fan of it.
Nah, not me.
Yeah, I'd rather listen to hardcore. I'd rather listen to punk rock, and somewhere in between, like The Accused. I think we talk about it a lot, Rich and I, and we call it, crossover.
Yeah, sure.
All that shit was our favorite.
Yeah.
English Dogs,
Yeah.
fucking amazing.
The Accused was one of like the most informative.
Just fucking amazing.
Yeah.
Bad Brains, fuck, the like you brought up Quickness album. That's super kind of metal rock and rollish, but just a great fucking album.
Yeah.
And they could do it because who was going to tell them anyways? Because they were so fucking amazing at the time. They were the hottest thing, and just I'd seen them so many times, dude, and it was fucking amazing. I saw them at Fenders. I saw them, like I said, at Iguanas. And then I saw them at the Long Beach College that time when they did the Quickness tour. But yeah, you know, another band that I don't really talk about this too much, but well, I mean I do, but I think that people should know more about and listen to it more is some of the good fucking psychedelic stuff that's out there. Like I'm a huge Butthole Surfers fan.
Oh yeah.
And there's a band out right now called The Freaks, spelled Freeks. Fuck.
Huh.
And then Def Club even, right? I mean, do you like observe that or at all?
Yeah.
Do you do know that that's what you guys
Sure,
do?
yeah.
Okay, because dude, it's just phenomenal. I mean, I can't tell you how much I've already told you how much I fucking love that band, but like anything psychedelic, especially hyper psychedelic, like
that's
the
interesting.
Freaks are like ripping musicians if you get to see them. But but their music's not like mellow fucking
which you think
nice
of psychedelic as like a jammy
no
thing.
exactly yeah no, they're fucking amped and rad.
There's a Butthole Surfers documentary that's in the works. It sounds like it's gonna be pretty sick.
A gnarly movie I'm hearing that's supposed to come out.
Yeah, a friend of mine's working on it. Should be good.
Rad.
There you have it, episode 30
of the Cold and Culture podcast.
It's so stupid. Thanks to Tad Miller and his work in Crossed Out.
Yep.
And you for paying attention and listening and caring and giving a shit about what we have to talk about.
And thanks to these people who make me sound like an organ.
Earthquaker Devices. Anyhow, speaking of prog, Earthquaker, Fender, guitar, Heartwork Coffee. We'd like to thank
Andy,
and
Becky,
and all of you. And make sure you check out all of our other podcasts available to stream. Jesus Christ, wherever you get your shit from. It's too much, dude.
fuck, where you get this shit
Anyhow, check it out. Get our podcast, Apple Podcast. You can unfortunately get it on Spotify. I don't know where else. Do whatever you want. Just check out our shit. Like, support, follow. We appreciate you. See you on the next one. Thanks.
Cult and Culture is proudly sponsored by Earthquaker Devices, Fender, and Heartwork Coffee.
Planet B.